Hello again, this is Victor James, author of The Megacosm, and I want to talk about Star Wars. Now, I know Star Wars has become a divisive topic, and I'm here for it. Many are finally coming around to the truth, and the truth is that outside of a few blips like Andor, Disney has killed Star Wars. But people really don't concentrate on the Star Wars movies and TV shows. They blame the dwindling audience on poor story structure and political messaging as the cause of Star Wars' demise. And all that is true, but there's one aspect of the Star Wars franchise that doesn't get much publicity, and it has fallen to even further depths as the TV shows and movies, and that's the Star Wars novel universe. As a writer, I emphasize the books over the films, and here's why. There was just under 16 years between the end of The Return of the Jedi and the first Phantom Menace films, but the Star Wars franchise never lost its prominence as one of the largest franchises in the world. Star Wars was still such a juggernaut at that time that Disney forked over $4 billion to George Lucas to buy it. And what kept Star Wars alive during that span were the novels that added depth and a quality storyline following the events of Return of the Jedi. There were about 160 novels released during that time span, and this was known as the Expanded Universe. Now, the Expanded Universe was a relatively linear storyline that saw the main characters grow older, fall in love, marry, and have children, and they passed on their legacies to new companions such as Mara Jade, Kyle Katarn, and Jason and Jay and Solo, who went on to become icons in their own right. We were introduced to fantastic villains such as Grand Admiral Thrawn, Darth Bane, and Revan, and we even read about the children of our heroes falling to the dark side and finding redemption. We were also able to delve into the past, which is my favorite part of the Star Wars universe, exploring the old Republic of Star Wars to read about how the Sith were formed using the Rule of Two that culminated into the rise of Palpatine. Now let's think about that for a moment. These stories and characters went on to become iconic within the Star Wars universe without the aid of a TV show or film to back them up. This was how and why people, including myself, could fall into that rabbit hole called Wikipedia to learn about characters and stories that we may have missed. I wouldn't do that now for obvious reasons, but you get the point. Now, to be fair, Disney has owned Star Wars for about 13 years now, and respectively released about 136 novels in that time. That's a good pace of books, with many debuting on the New York Times bestsellers list. But that doesn't tell the whole story, since we've come to find out that the bestsellers list can be manipulated. When you dig deeper into the numbers and the listing, you realize Star Wars novels are just as dead as the films and TV shows. Now, you might want to take my numbers with a grain of salt. I did use ChatGPT for this, and Disney is not as forthright with their sales figures as most publishing houses, so we had to do a lot of approximations, but there's proof of its dwindling popularity. Now, before anyone says anything, there have definitely been genuine hits, such as Timothy Zahn adding more to the Throne story, and James Luceno coming out and doing his Tarkin, and there's been standalone hits like Star Wars Dark Disciple. But for the most part, the interest in Star Wars novels continues to wane. Now take the High Republic for example. Touted as the next great storyline, the High Republic was set 100 years before the first films, telling the stories of the golden age of the Jedi and the Republic. And the High Republic actually came out the gate with strong numbers, selling over 1,000 copies from the first book. Yet that interest faded quickly with the second novel selling just half that amount, and the sales have plummeted since then. There hasn't been a new novel in the High Republic since 2023. Sure, there are more planned, but I doubt fans will come back to this failure when they were selling under 20,000 copies. And there's more proof that the novels are suffering just based off the review numbers. Now, don't look at the actual number rating. What I mean is when the further down the list you go, the less number of people are rating the books. By the time you get to the last books, you're not even seeing triple digits of people rating a Star Wars book. I mean, these are numbers that are kind of like mine. Okay, I lied. They're still better than mine, but you get my point. And as a writer, I know that when people care about your story, they will rate it. For Star Wars to get these kind of low numbers, that is not a good thing. And the standalone novels do better, I will admit. But as Disney started focusing more on pushing their original universe slop, the numbers, as you can see, get lower. And I think this is all a shame, don't get me wrong. In the past, no matter how long Star Wars wasn't mainstream, we always had the novels to fall back on to take us to that universe far, far away. Now the novels are dead, and a dying Wikipedia is for some reason pushing the message that makes no sense. And this is really all Disney's fault, and George Lucas for selling his baby. But you let me know in the comments, am I getting it wrong here? Are the novels just as strong now as they were in the expanded universe, and I'm just being biased? Is there some other novels that I should be reading? Because I stopped reading the Star Wars novels because I just couldn't stand where the story was going or the writing style. But maybe there's some newer ones that I should be reading. Just let me know in the comments down below. So as usual, you can buy my book, Fiasco Adventures, on Amazon. I have it in paperback. It's also available in Kindle. And I also have the first chapter of Fiasco Adventures on my website, themegacosm.com. So you can read the first chapter, see if it's something that you're interested in, and think about buying. I also have a Substack where I have more chapters of my novel Fiasco Adventures, and I also have my short stories in here. So if you want to read those for free, everything on here is for free. So this is just kind of a preview to see if there's something that you want to buy. But that's all I have to say about this right now. God bless you and keep you. That's it, I'm done.